Hey everybody, today we're going to talk about the bottom part of the body roll. So last week we talked about the top part and what things weren't working there. And the good news is that a lot of this that we worked on, the contraction part, right, and getting our back to round here as opposed to having my bad posture and looking really sexy, right? It's the same thing when I do my downward body roll. So let's go ahead and get started. So if I turn profile here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hand, same spot, and I'm going to have that contraction. If you missed this, you can go back and find our last week's blog, or you can find us and subscribe on YouTube, and you'll get all of our stuff that we put out every week, right? So here, right, I've got my initial contraction. And what we talked about last week, quick review, we went in, forward, and then up, right? Then the second part from here is the actual downward body roll part. That's kind of all the prep. Then from here, I'm going to go back to my original starting position, my contraction up top, right? And this relax down here. Then I'm going to pull in, to go down. So let's talk about that, how that actually works. So I've got my in, forward, up, and then when I'm coming down, I'm going to bring this down, 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 down. Now, when we do this, this is not our rectus abdominis. Our rectus abdominis, kind of the whole thing contracts, so I'm not flexing my crunching muscles because those will crunch my whole everything, right? So we have to think about it kind of a different way. Some people this comes really natural for, some people it doesn't, right? So you just have to figure out which one you are. If your back is out of alignment and things feel like it's epically difficult for you to do this move, please do yourself a favor of, instead of suffering and not being able to do body rolls and do the moves that you want for years, just go and get some body work done. Find out what's going wrong posturally or what's going wrong with your back and your body for your longevity. I know we don't always do it for that, but maybe you'll do it because you want to be a better dancer. So if you're finding yourself, Heather, I just can't bend there to save my life, it's not because you're defunct in any way, shape, or form. It's most likely because your body is out of alignment and it's not letting you do what you want your body to do. So there's my spiel. You'll probably hear it very frequently because I've had huge differences in my dancing from getting body work done. So we've got our initial, our forward, our up, and then as we go down, what I'm doing is I like to think about it from the spine point of view instead of from the front, right? So I have back, up, and then as I'm coming here, I'm rounding at the top, and then I'm going to round here, right? So I'm trying to make this part round. Then I'm going to round here. Then I'm going to try to take the small of my back, the curve, entirely out of the small of my back. And then I'm going to release for right now, right? We'll talk about the reverse as kind of its own little beast there. So another way that I like to get at this is if I do it against a wall, what I'll do, I don't know if you can see or not, but I'm going to bring my feet away from the wall, right? And now I'm going to stand with everything away from the wall. I'm going to go forward, or sorry, I got in, forward, up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my shoulders, the top of my shoulders on the wall. And as I do this, I'm going to be able to bring this part down, and I'm touching just my upper back against the wall. Now, what I want you to do to help, because what happens here every time we do this with somebody who's struggling with separating their body and being able to go one section at a time, which is always the big struggle in a bodybuilder, right? So when I do this, I want you to put your hands, flip them around, may not be comfortable, put them on your butt, right? And you're going to keep your butt right where it is as you try and put more of your upper back. So right now, I'll give you landmarkers. I'm above my bra strap, right? For the followers, guys, you can imagine. Don't imagine the bra strap, but imagine, you know what I mean, yourself. So I'm at the bottom of my shoulder blades. There we go. And then I'm going to go down to about an inch below my shoulder blades. My butt is still the same distance away from the wall. If it got closer, then I need to reevaluate how I'm bending here, right? And this is what's going to make my body roll much, much bigger. Now, it's how far can I go down? Now I'm gonna take that about 2 inches below my shoulder blades, and my hips are still about the same distance away from the wall, right? They're starting to have to get a little closer because eventually it's going to have to get there. But I'm keeping, so now I'm gonna move another inch down. And now I'm still trying to keep my hips, keep pushing them as far away from the wall as I can, while keeping going an inch farther down my back and touching that part of my back to the wall, right? So then I go an inch farther down, and I'm still trying to keep my hips as far away from the wall as possible. Right now they're only about that far away. And then I continue until the whole small of my back is flat, and just this little 3-inch strip of the small of my back is flat on the wall. And you can see how contracted everything is through here. And then I'm gonna just release, right? If you're like, holy shnikes, that is an abdominal workout. Yes, it can be. As you do it, you'll learn how to relax and let it move fluidly, right? It should not always feel like, right? If you look like you're pooping, sorry, but it's totally true. If you feel like you're straining like you're pooping, try to relax, okay? I know the struggle is real, right? So the key is, as I do this, I come back and I put just the tippy tops of my shoulder blades on, and I'm gonna put my hands against, I'm doing just like this, to keep my hips as far away from the wall as I can. And then I'm gonna start moving my back down, 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 trying to keep my hips as far forward as I can, as far forward as I can, as far forward as I can, until I get to this little point right here where the small of my back is on, and then I'm just gonna release, okay? And that'll help you work on being able to separate, and the key is keeping the hips there. When we go into our reverse body roll, because it's always nice to be able to body roll and then bring it back up. When I go into that, we're gonna work at it from an opposite angle, okay? We'll get there. So for now, I've got my in, forward, up, and I'm gonna roll that down. Now, even after you just did it on the wall, maybe you pause this video and you've done it on this wall like 20 times. It may still not look like this. It takes time, right? So when we practice, we wanna make sure that we're practicing as I do it, and I'm checking in with, okay, are my hips going back, right? Because that's the number one thing, is things like this start to happen, and it's not being able to separate. So when I start this, I do my contract, expand, up, and right here, I'm gonna put my hands right here, and then I'm gonna start to come down, right? Really trying to say, how far forward are my hips? My hips also aren't just forward, but they're also kind of tucking under in order to create that, to make that happen. That has to happen in the bottom of the body roll, right? So let's talk about that part. For those of you that don't know, there are only 2 ways that your rib cage moves in conjunction with your hips, right? So my rib cage is either going to go, if this is my hips and this is my rib cage, they're either going to go in direct opposition, right? So a lateral rib cage isolation, or when I do this front to back, right? Direct opposition, right? Or they're gonna be coming together. So my rib cage and hips are coming, there we go, together, 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 right? So if I do this, they're coming together. For the sides, when I do this, I bring my hip up and my rib cage down. So if I'm doing, we call these full body circles. So those are together as opposed to lateral stretching motions, right? So we use both of those motions in a body roll. And that's why a body roll is really, really difficult, is because when I do this, some people it's really not difficult for, and bless your hearts, and then there's the rest of us that are like, whew. I went to the gym because I could not get the top part of my body roll, and I was like, I am going to do this. And every time I went to the gym, I would go into the little exercise room, and I would go and I would sit there and I would just do this, because I couldn't do this action. My body wouldn't do it. So I would just go in there and I would do it, and I would put my fingers on there and I would poke it and I would try to get it to go, because I had no range of motion in my upper rib cage there. And so I had to develop that through time. And every time I did it, I kept doing it. I did it for like a song. Every time I went to the gym, and it got better and it got better, and now I can body roll, right? So as we do this, we have our initial contraction, our expand, our up, and then as we go down, I'm gonna start bringing the hips and the rib cage together. Now I'm in this interesting position here So I'm not standing right here and doing it because I went back and I stretched it out. Now, I'm gonna start bringing those together, and that's what's gonna create the rounding. I'm leaving the hips a little bit later, is the only thing, okay? So once again, I try to give a bunch of different ways to think about this because everybody's brain is gonna learn differently and everything resonates differently with somebody, right? So we're gonna take this into a staggered stance, right? Which is 1 foot in front and 1 foot behind. When I do this, I wanna make sure that my toes aren't pointing in or even parallel. I'm gonna have much more stability if my back foot is turned out and my front foot is pointing forward, right? My front foot doesn't wanna be pointing this way because that's gonna be weird, okay? So we've got our initial part of our body roll that we talked about last week, and then from here, I'm gonna start bringing my rib cage back, and I'm gonna start transitioning my weight to this back foot. When I do this, one of the most important things to making it look bigger, especially for the followers, this is really for the followers, guys. You can do it too, but most of the time, the follower is gonna body roll bigger than you, right? So as I'm doing this, when I come forward for my body roll, I come all the way onto this foot. If I'm doing a staggered stance, and I possibly can, when I do that, this leg extends and points back here so that I get as much reach and length, and it creates this really nice visual curve through my whole body as I extend that leg back to prepare it to come underneath me, so that when I'm here, I have my initial contraction, and then I'm doing what I just did on the wall, right? I'm leaving my hips forward for as long as humanly possible, getting to that small of the back area, and then I'm gonna release. Now, when I release as a follower, guys, you will always just release. Unless you really wanna like work some booty action, I'll show you how to do that too, your prerogative. But at the bottom, instead of just coming to neutral followers, I'm gonna pull up, right? And that's what gives the little at the bottom of the body roll. So I go forward, and then here I'm gonna extend that leg back, and I'm gonna straighten it so that I get as much length and as much stretch from my toe all the way through my leg, all the way through the front of my whole body, through my neck, through my shoulder line and everything. And then I'm gonna initiate that body roll. As I come through, I'm leaving the hips forward, right? If you need to put your hands back there to remind yourself to leave the hips forward, then do so. I'm gonna come through, and once I get to the bottom, as I release, I'm gonna release and continue to pull up in the back. If you're like, that pull up in the back thing, it's your twerking muscles, I'll be honest, right? So one of the things, and I don't know why it works, but it just does, if you grab the back of your britches, right, and pull it straight up. So this is the action. It's going, the energy is going straight up as opposed to back. Back, I'm gonna stretch out my T-bands, it's gonna hurt my body, and I'm gonna be out of balance. So I wanna make sure that I'm pulling straight up. Whatever your range of motion, if you're like, Heather, my low back doesn't move at all, I feel your pain. There are other people whose low backs, I'm like, do you have bones in there? But I'm not one of them. So I've got my little movement in my low back, and I'm perfectly happy with that, right? So that is our body roll. From there, we'll go into a reverse body roll, right? And that's what we're gonna talk about next week. So how you're gonna practice this so that you can actually apply it and use it, right? One thing that I always encourage people to do is just basic hip isolation, right? So if I'm here, let's talk about, I call it hip extension, right? So if I plie, I bend my knees, and I'm gonna tuck my hips under right here. Notice they didn't move forward or back, right? There's none of this, right? That's a different dance. But I just tuck my hips under, right? And now I've stretched out the front of my hip flexors. It's like I kind of like have a bowl. My pelvis is a bowl of bones, and I want to be able to dump the water out the back, dump the water out the front, right? As a Latin dancer, this is just a key piece of body movement that we really need to be able to do, and this also happens to be the piece that's going to help you with the bottom of your body roll, right? This is the bottom, the whoop, when you pull up, and this is the part that you're in right before it, where this part is lifted up right before you go, right? So we've got our body roll, I come down, And I'm in this position, right, with my pelvis tucked under, and then I'm gonna pull it up in the back when I'm done, right? Now, this isn't to say that I'm always gonna end every body roll here, right? Unless you're a bachata dancer, just kidding. We don't end every single body roll there, right? When I'm dancing salsa frequently, it'll only be the top part of the body roll, and I'm not gonna drop it like it's hot, right? So I need to know that it's not, I don't always do the bottom part. When I remove that sit part of the body roll, what happens is I go here, 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 and I'm just getting to the small of the back part, and then I'm releasing, right? So it's that release and come to neutral position in my legs, right? And then I come to neutral, as opposed to staying low and bringing it up in the back, right? So I can use both of those. Either one. There are many other different types of body rolls that we'll do, and maybe one day we'll do a video of like side body rolls or walking body rolls. Let us know what kind of body rolls you want us to break down, and we'll totally make a video and do that for you. So thank you very much, guys. Please remember, we love what we do. I love teaching. Help us get our message out. Please share this video, subscribe to our channel, subscribe to our blog, and we'll continue to provide you awesome instructional videos for free. Okay? Thanks.